Welcome to my channel. In this video I will be showing you how to repair your vehicle's wheel arch. It is very common to have a rust on the arches, and there are a number of reasons why this happens, but the most common cases are the stone chips flies from the vehicle to the paint and chips them to its bare metal, and without the protection the metal will start to rust and spread. Another common reason is the rust buildup from areas you cannot see, and in this case you will need to strip any plastic or covered areas to examine where the root of the rust is, so I'm going to be removing the side skirt. The last reason is the mud and dirt is trapped between the plastic arch and the metal arch, and in the rain or when you wash your vehicle there will be water trapped to the metal arch and therefore will cause rust. Now we're going to go ahead and remove the side skirt. In Range Rover L322 models, to remove the side skirt you will need a flathead and a Phillips screwdriver. The Phillips screw is located on each side of the side steps and 6 clips in between. Once you remove the clips, you will now need to pull the skirt on you, as there is only click-on clips that holds the skirt. Once you've made your way to the culprit, it's time to analyze the damage. I'm using a flathead to get rid of many layers of the rust, but by the looks of it the rusted area will need to be removed and welded using appropriate steel. Now that I can see the extent of the damage, I will use a wire brush attachment on the drill to remove the excess rust. You can also use a 40 to 80 grit sandpaper, but it's more time consuming and not of elbow grease, so using a wire brush is the best way. The reason why the rear arch has been rusted is due to the water runs through the side steps and stop at the end, and there isn't any drainage or a hole for the water to escape, so it's trapped between the side step and the arch, therefore causing it to rust. You don't need to worry about the scratch caused by the wire brush, as filler is going to be applied and sanded down to a perfect finish. Before moving on to your next step, I strongly advise you to remove the wheel arch and behind the areas you have just removed the rust from, as the rust occurs in both areas of the steel, and if you don't fully clean the rust you will start to have rust bubbles in a couple months and you will have to redo the step. Once you have removed the rust, you will now need to cut out a new steel and weld it, but before you weld it, you will need to shape it to the panel shape. I'm marking the area I will be shaping it using a hammer, and once I shape it using a pliers I will be welding it. I've made a gap between the panel and the steel, as if by any chance the welded steel will rust, it won't spread onto the painted area. I've also made the bottom area shorter so it won't interfere with the water. I will be using Hammerat No. 1 rust beater as it kills and prevents rust from occurring. You can use spray can, however they are thinned using a thinner and they won't prevent the rust as much as this one does. I'm going to go and spread it over the area I've just cleaned using a cloth. You also need to do this step in the inner part of the panel to prevent the rust from reappearing, as the inner has not been treated, and once the untreated area gets in contact with water, rust will reappear to the areas you haven't used Hammerat. To speed up the process, you can use a hairdryer or a heat gun, but make sure it's set at low speed so the paint would not burn or bubble. I usually check this by feeling the temperature around the area to see if it's hot. Once the paint is fully dried, it's time to apply a putty. Unfortunately, the camera was off focus, so I just fast forwarded this step, but in my next video I will be showing how I prep the filler. For the time being, I will be priming the area, but the filling process has not been finished. I haven't gone into full detail, but rather made it waterproof using a filler and the paint for the rust to not reappear, as it's an area in which would not be seen and would be covered up with the side skirt. I will fill the top and the side arches in my next video. I've used a red primer as the vehicle's colour is red and I want the paint to match the colour on the car and give the best results. Now tape down any areas you don't want to prime. You'll need to clean the panel you're about to paint using appropriate cleaner, as if you don't and you have dust or dirt on the panel, you will paint over the dust. The dust will ball up into the paint and leave dirty streaks. It also might get glued into the paint, leaving bumps, and may also eventually shed and stop the adhesion of the paint into the surface, so you have flaking in time. Apply 2 to 3 layers of primer. While spraying, do not try to cover up the area in one go, as excess spray over an undried paint will cause you to have drips and runs. You can use spray can primer or 2K primer, but personally I would suggest you to use spray can on small areas such as this arch, and 2K primer for a whole panel. Also, spray cans are air dried, and if you're working on your vehicle outside, it will take less time to dry compared to 2K. To speed up the process, you can use a hairdryer or a heat gun, but make sure it's set at low speed so the paint would not burn or bubble. Stay tuned, as in my next video I will be filling, sanding and painting the arch to a perfect finish.